Our open house and ribbon cutting at the all-new Mike Butch Ford in Blackshear was a huge success. If you missed it, don't worry about it. There's still plenty of time to celebrate. We're giving the best deals ever in sales and service now through Saturday. Ask a salesperson how you can save big money with 0% interest for 60 months on select new Fords. Or you can save more than $10,000 on select new 2015 Ford F-150s, America's best-selling pickup for 39 years. Wednesdays in January is Ladies' Day. Ladies get a free car wash with oil and filter change. If you need new tires, now's the time. Just $5 over cost now through Saturday. Only at the all-new Mike Butch Ford in Blackshear.
If you're looking for an incredible deal on a new or pre-owned vehicle from the dealer who has always put you first, stop the search. Call the all-new Mike Butch Ford in Blackshear.
This is Sammy Dixon saying thank you. Thank you very much for your business.
All right, it's 8 o'clock. You're listening to the Big Dog, WIFO-FM in Jessup, 105.5 in your FM dial. Good morning. Butch Everett here sitting in for me for this Tuesday morning, 26th day of January. I thank Jonathan for sitting in for me yesterday morning between 8 and 9 o'clock. And let's see here. It's now time for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you by Mike Butch Ford in Blackshear, BNC Collision Center in Scriven, Jessup Premium Storage out here on the Waycross Highway. And also brought to you by Parker Insurance and Realty, located on Macon Street in downtown Jessup. Well, Bob, there's a big controversy going on here in Wayne County. We got the folks here this morning that's going to try to help enlighten us a little bit about what the future is of ash being dumped here in Wayne County.
One of the big stories, there's a meeting today at 5:30 County Commissioners meeting room. Everybody's invited to attend the meeting, and you got Kevin Copeland, one of the county commissioners, in here to discuss really what's going to take place. And like I said, he has more knowledge than I do because he was able to meet with Republic Services last week and get their thoughts on this proposal. Like we reported this morning, it's the front page of the AJC's business section. Stories entitled South Georgia Community Up in Arms Over Coal Ash Landfill. So, Kevin, first of all, let's just tell people what's going to take place today at 5:30. What's the purpose of the meeting? Who's going to be on hand? What's going to take place?
The biggest thing on this meeting this afternoon, and this meeting for one is going to be a little different than anything we've ever had. We schedule this as a public meeting, a call meeting / work session. And I'm going to ask with respect that anybody that comes, please follow all the rules that I lay out as chairman at the beginning of the meeting this afternoon. But the purpose of this thing is to let the community know in an official capacity. We've all, I think Commissioner Hickox, myself, others, we've talked to a bunch of people. We put our views on Facebook, and I'm normally not a Facebook political person, but we have used it to try to get the word out there. But the purpose of this meeting this afternoon is in an official capacity to let the public know, since they haven't heard from the commissioners as a board, all of the info that we have at this time. In return, it's going to be scheduled as a work session. That way I can call on people from the audience. I haven't figured out exactly how we're going to do that, but we are going to give the public, Butch, a chance to speak tonight and air their concerns. If any of the public has facts, we have encouraged everybody that we run into to please band together. This thing is so new and it's hit us so off guard. We've studied what we can, but I've got a job and a family, and there's not but so much we can do in a week's time, a week and a half time that we've known about this. So we've encouraged the public to bring any facts they can tonight. We're going to hear from the public. We want to know exactly what the public in an official capacity wants us to do. If they want us to do, if they've got ideas that we're not doing. We've already reached out to a lot of our senators, our congressmen, our state reps. We've reached out to those guys and they've responded in kind. All of them have been great. Again, just going to give the public a chance for us to tell them what's going on, what we know, what we've done about it. We want to hear back from the public, give them a chance to speak. And that's pretty much it. It's, there's not going to be, we've I got a little bit of new information from yesterday, and every day there's it might just be a little bit where we're learning more and more. Most everything's been out there in the newspaper and some articles, but just again, an official capacity to let the public know where we stand as a board of commissioners, what we're doing, and to hear from the public.
Will anybody from Republic be there?
No, we have not invited them. Few commissioners sat down with Republic last week, and we met with Tim Lau. I can't pronounce the other guy's name. Jeffrey something, I've got it on my phone, and a guy I did not know. We met with them, and at the time, they are against having any kind of public hearing.
So they don't want to have a public hearing. They want to hear what's involved.
That's what they told me.
Yeah.
They don't have to. That would be a
They don't have to, and they don't want to.
They don't have to. They don't want to.
Do they think that all the law is on their side? What will prevent them from being able to dump coal ash here at Broadhurst Environmental?
Okay, Butch, what I understand right now, and this came straight to me from Republic, who is Central Virginia Properties, and we met with Tim Lau. I don't know his official, I think he's a region president or representative here. I'm not sure of his official title, but he's pretty much as far up the head guy that we can get a hold of.
Okay.
And what they explained to us in a meeting last week, the only thing they're waiting on now is pretty much 2 permits from the Corps. And that's a permit for this rail spur and a permit for their wetlands acquisition. And as soon as they get those permits, which is only a week or 2 away from getting them, at that point in time, they can begin construction of this rail spur.
So all this has been going on for a while then. If they're getting close to these permits, who do they apply with it? Would it be in Washington? Is it Atlanta?
Butch, I'm still learning all this. The Corps of Engineers, wherever their office is at, that's national. They apply to them. They've already been permitted with the EPD to bring coal ash in, and they have been bringing coal ash in the past. Right. It has just been in small amounts compared to what they are going to bring in. They met with us last week. I think it was last Wednesday around lunch. Andy Beaver's here with me, our county attorney. He was with us to help keep me straight. They gave us some diagrams, and I'll have those at the meeting tonight of their pits, of how they're going to store the coal ash. But they have been bringing it in. So as soon as they get permitted for their wetlands, because the way I understand that some of the pits that they're going to put this coal ash in is in wetlands, and everybody knows that if you use wetlands, you have to either purchase more wetlands somewhere else or buy credits in the Corps Bank.
Right.
So as soon as they get those 2 permits, my understanding is they will begin construction of the rail spur, which will allow them to bring in, was it 70 to 100 carloads?
70 to 100 carloads per day. Now that's a lot of ash.
They will be permitted for 10,000 tons a day.
10,000 tons.
That's not a year. That's a day.
How much space does 1 ton take up? I mean, how long will they continue to dump out there? I mean, apparently they're putting quite an investment to put a railroad spur out there.
They've made a major investment, and they actually applied for another sale permit back a few years ago. So this has been something, the best we can tell from Republic, again, Central Virginia Properties, that they've had in the works and on the table for a long time.
Okay.
And again, they're not bound by any law to tell us. We would appreciate it because, we're the host county for this landfill. We think it would have been the right thing for them to do is to share this, but they've been planning on this for quite some time now and just kept it from the public. And you can see that with them not wanting to have a public hearing.
They know what's going to happen with all that, so they don't want to do that. Now, I know Bob explained on the local news. Tell folks where coal ash comes from.
The best we can understand is when power plants, when they burn coal for energy, and that's just your byproduct of the use of the burnt
byproduct, and you got to put it somewhere.
And Bob, this thing, coal ash is not just a state of Georgia problem. From what we've learned, coal ash is a national problem. All of our coal-fired plants are just running out of places to dump the stuff. There's been a few accidents in the last 10 years. I think one of them, guys, if I say some wrong info here, forgive me. My brain's crammed with coal ash for the last week. One of them was in Tennessee with the TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority. Another one was in North Carolina. There was a spill in the Dan River that made national headlines because they were disposing of it in some slurry ponds. And several states, I think North Carolina, they didn't ban coal ash. They banned it being dumped in slurry ponds. And they're now, and the reason they're bringing it to these landfills is the EPA and EPD has deemed coal ash a non-hazardous material and said that it could be stored in lined pits, which is what we will have out here.
And are you comfortable that's not a non-hazardous material? I mean, if it's cold and it comes from the ground, is it going back into the ground? I mean, does it seep into?
I can tell you it's got a lot of. Let me say this: I am not a chemist. I'm an electrician. I'm not a chemist. All I can do is read on the internet what I can find. You know, EPD's got it classified as non-hazardous, and I'm not a chemist to argue with that. Do I trust that? To be honest, I'm not comfortable with that, because coal ash does have a lot of poisonous chemicals in it, like arsenic.
That comes into it from the process.
Makeup.
Okay.
I don't know how that breaks down. Again, I'm not a chemist. I don't know how that breaks down, but it scares me a little bit for that amount of coal ash. You know, if
that's a lot of coal ash.
Indeed bring in 10,000 tons, and that doesn't limit them. That 10,000 tons does not limit them just to coal ash. They can bring in 5,000 tons of coal ash and 5,000 tons of municipal waste, and all up and down the East Coast, Butch. Your northern states are having problems with trash and dumping it. And what articles we've read is they're taking advantage of a lot of your western, your southeastern, your low income. And just to be honest, you know, compared to northern states, we're a low income county. They're taking advantage of that because we don't have the means to fight it. Really, we've got space. We're rural. They can dump it somewhere. They can come down and sell it to the public by saying they're going to create a bunch of jobs and they're going to give us all these host fees for the county. And a lot of places take it because they need the money so bad to decrease, you know, your tax digest, to increase revenue. And a lot of places have that. And it will be a revenue increase for the county. But our citizens have got to decide at what cost do they want to sell their resources.
Why will it be a revenue increase for the county?
Okay, let me see if I can explain this. And this is, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a little irritated about this, you know, but I'm not. I know what it's like to serve on a board, and you don't always see 20 years down the road. But the reason there's a revenue increase, back in 92 to 94, when this landfill was being built, bought, acquired, everything, I've got a note of the name of the company. Andy, help me here. I think a company named Addington originally started that landfill. The county backed it with a bond. It was never in the county's name. There's been all kind of rumors, this and that the county sold the landfill, everything. But we did not. That landfill was never in Wayne County's name. I don't know why the commissioners back then agreed to back it with a bond. They thought it would be a bunch of revenue for the county. And we agreed back in 1992 when it was started, and that thing might have rolled on up during the whole process into 94 a little bit. But we get what's called a host fee, Butch, and that's $1.80 a foot for every ton that they bring in. Okay. Is they pay the county. But here's what's interesting to note, and this is what's a little irritated. We have because of how this landfill was done back then, we have very little legs to stand on with arguing and negotiating. Our solid waste authority back in 92 and our commissioners set a host fee of $1.80. Am I clear on here?
And that hasn't changed in all these years?
That has not changed since 92 and cannot change again until 2034.
No, it's been a long time on it. Okay.
And you know, with increased inflation, with revenue, you know they're getting more money for trash now than they did in 92, but Wayne County's not getting any more money. So we have not received a host fee increase since 92 or 94, and will not again until 2034.
Okay.
So you can do your math at 10,000 tons if they max out that facility. And you could see, when I tell you these amounts, you could see why some people would say, well, that's a lot of revenue.
How much is it, the revenue on a daily basis?
10,000 tons is $18,000.
So we'll receive an additional $18,000 a day in fees. If
that facility maxes out at what they're building for, 10,000 tons a day at $1.80 a foot, that's $18,000 a day.
A day.
But Butch, our citizens have got, I mean, it's like I spoke with Dink Neesmith on the phone the other day. There's all kind of revenue increases we can get into. You know, we can run drugs and everything else if we need money bad enough, but our people have got to decide at what cost they're going to sell their resources.
Okay, folks, we've got County Commissioner Kevin Copeland here this morning talking about the coal ash situation going on here in Wayne County. If you have any questions or comments, you can text us at 912-427-3711, 912-427-3711 if you have a comment or question for Commissioner Copeland. Bob?
I just want to, I said, y'all met with Republic last week, and I said, I said, all we got was notes from the meeting, but again, just to stress what the Republic is saying. They state their position is they're properly licensed to take in the coal ash, which is approved by the U.S. EPA as legal waste for landfills. But Georgia's Environmental Protection Division must sign off on any landfill proposal. And to me, that's where the hope is if you want to try to prevent this.
Yes.
Buddy Carter was here last week at a town hall meeting, and he's assured Wayne County that he'll set up a meeting with Corps of Engineers and things like that for Wayne County's voices to be heard. But to me, that's where the roadblock could possibly take place if you get to somebody from the EPD saying, look, we don't want it in our landfill, but the problem is it's not our landfill. That's the problem. The problem is we don't own the landfill. Republic's made the deal. They're going to make the deal because, like I said, it's going to be a benefit to their pocketbooks. And listen to the attorney from the city meeting when the city commissioners asked the question. He said, look, if they sign off on it, there's nothing anybody's going to be able to do about it.
That's correct, Bob. They're a private business just like any other private business. Right in here, any private business around here, the landfill Republic is a private business, and we have no negotiating power over what a private business can do if they're within the bounds of the law, and they are within the bounds of the law right now. The only hope we have to stop it is our state reps and all the letters pouring into the Corps of Engineers to delay this permit. One, what we're seeking is just at first to delay this permit and have a public hearing to give us a chance to be educated about it.
Public hearing date been set up yet?
No, we have not. I have reached out personally to the EPD and all of our state reps. The commissioners have sent letters to the Corps, all of our state reps, and I'm going to give every one of these guys credit this morning. Bill Workenheiser, Chad Nimmer, Tommy Williams, Mark Williams, Buddy Carter, all of these guys have been just great as far as their response and trying to help us. I did a conference call with each and every one of those guys yesterday. They all met. We all got on a conference call. They asked questions, and they were putting together something to send out yesterday, and they're supposed to be getting back with me this morning sometime. So I'll have something to announce tonight, hopefully. But each and every one of our reps, I mean, Wayne County should be proud of each and every one of them. Every one of those guys have responded very helpfully.
Are the commissioners going to put up a resolution saying to voice y'all's objection to this?
Okay. Well, again, we're looking at that. We will have to see where that goes tonight. We have already sent out a unanimous letter to the Corps stating us asking for a public hearing.
Okay.
We've already done that unanimous. So we're just going to have to see how that goes tonight. Personally, I would like to see something like that happen, us put a resolution out and at least word it until we can get more informed about it, that the commissioners of Wayne County, are against coal ash coming and this amount of municipal waste coming until we can be better educated at a later date. And Butch, that's what's so frustrating is trying to learn about something that's so volatile in a week and a half or 2 weeks. I think it's been, has it been 2 weeks, a week and a half since the newspaper broke that story? It hasn't been long at all. And that's a short time to try to get everybody to get together on such a volatile issue.
The puzzling thing to me, though, is Republic's stance to they're against it. You met with them. What's the reasoning for that? I mean, they don't even talk about, they don't want to try to defend it coming in. And
I'm not them, Bob. I'll tell you what they have done.
You had to ask them.
I did.
So what was their response?
They didn't really give me a reason why, other than they just didn't want to have a public hearing, get up there and they'd be yelling and screaming and hollering. Honestly, if you're not open to people, normally if you don't want to do something like that, then that tells me you've got something to hide. But they are in the process of building a website which people can go on and ask questions about it. I don't know when that'll be up and running, but we have requested that when they get that website up and running, they link it to our county website. So when you go on the commissioner's website, you can click on the link and it'll take you to Republic's question and answer session and information about what they're doing with this landfill. They came, they brought pads, graphs, diagrams of their pits. I'm frustrated because if I was those guys, that would have been the first thing I would do, is to get out there and try to educate people instead of turning around and having a fiasco. And it's almost like, from my standpoint, we're having a DuPont situation all over again, and I think this is way worse. I think this is way more harmful to the environment. I think it's way more harmful to Wayne County than any situations in the past. Because not only have you got to look at the possibility of, if the liner fails, if it gets into the aquifer, not only that, what about your property value surrounding this thing? Nobody's going to want to move in on top of a coal ash dump.
Okay, somebody's sent in a question here. In a roundabout way, I've asked some of the questions that have come in up here, but it said, it's stated on Facebook, and of course you can always believe what you read on Facebook. Yeah. It stated on Facebook that the board, the county commissioners were not unanimous against coal ash coming to Wayne County. Is this true?
As of right now, it looks like there's a little bit of disagreement as to how to respond to this. Every commissioner, to my understanding, what I've talked to them, is unanimous in wanting a public hearing and wanting to delay it until we can get more information. There has been a couple commissioners, and you'll just have to call your representative to get the facts, because I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but it does look like there's a couple commissioners that have not decided which way they're going on this issue.
Well, it sounds like from what you're saying, you're against the coal ash
as
coming
of right now, I am against this coal ash coming until we can find out more information about it and whether or not it's indeed harmful. I mean, I know, all I can tell you right now, Butch, is how Republic's told us they're going to monitor it and what I've read online. And here's what scares me. Let's say they bring in all this coal ash out there and they monitor it. Let's say they do a great job monitoring it. They're having monitor wells. They never have a leak. The liner never breaks down. What happens if that company goes bankrupt in 4 or 5 years? And whose responsibility is that coal ash out there at that time if that company is bankrupt? If they're bankrupt, they're not going to be out there monitoring it. The liner could break down. It could get into the aquifer. All these are questions that we've asked. We've asked the EPD. Guys, we have been working overtime on this thing. A few of us have anyway. And we don't have those answers. And that lack of information is what scares me, and that lack of information is why I'm against it.
Well, the first step is, like I said, to inform people of the meeting tonight, because that's the first step. It's at 5:30 today at the County Commissioners meeting room. Everyone's invited at 10. And I said, hopefully, they said, we just went through the mining situation. We had a lot of public hearings, and hats off to all the Wayne County people, because to me, all the public hearings were very orderly. Once they asked people to speak once, no one was yelling.
All of our people here.
No one was yelling over everybody. The meetings went extremely well. I thought everybody was able to be heard and everybody got to say what they wanted to say. So that's hopefully what Buddy Carter can line up again with either the EPA or the EPD. But they said, you got your county attorney here, I said, the one attorney said, not much we're going to be able to do if they sign off. Is that the way you see it?
There's really not much as far as the county commissioner or counties can really go. I mean, honestly, you're dealing with Republic, who's a private company, just like any other business owner. As long as they're within the regulatory bounds of the EPD, and the EPD signs off on it, they're good to go. What the commission has done at this point is, all we've done is wrote a letter to the Army Corps of Engineers, who actually does grant the permit. What the Army Corps of Engineers asked when we wrote that letter was to list the concerns, and they're not so much looking for coal ash is bad. Wayne County don't want coal ash. That's really not within. The Army Corps is not looking for that. What the Army Corps was looking for in the request for the public hearing was, how is it going to affect the conservation of the land, the wetlands around Wayne County? How is it going to have an economic impact on Wayne County? And with that respect is what we request the public hearing from the Army Corps of Engineers. Again, we're, and any citizen you, me, the Wayne County Board of Commissioners, anybody could request that public hearing from the Army Corps of Engineers. What it boils down to, does the Army Corps of Engineers grant the public hearing or not? And that's where we're at right now. We still hadn't heard back from the Army Corps of Engineers whether they're going to grant Wayne County that public hearing so we can voice some, so that we can voice some of those concerns. That's where the process is at, as far as can we delay the approval process or not.
And Bob, let me add on top of Annie's again, that'll be something that's said tonight, and let me say it on the radio for anybody that's listening now and won't be at the meeting tonight. One, write letters to the Corps. I think all the addresses are in the newspaper. If they're not in the newspaper, you can't find them, call our county office at 427-5900, call the newspaper, call the radio station. We will get those addresses to you to write the letters. Call your senators, call your congressmen, write them, call your local commissioners. Butch just asked a question about a resolution being passed, and is everybody unanimous? Guys, make your representatives listen to you. If they don't hear from you, sometimes they don't know where to stand on it, because, and I'm taking up for each and every commissioner because I am one, make sure you call them, put heat on them, tell them how you feel, tell them how you want them to vote. The commission's not up there. We shouldn't be up there voting how we want to. We should be representing the people in our district that elected us. Call these guys, blow their phone up.
Well, we know that that coal ash apparently has been produced for a long time as a byproduct of power generating plants. Like we did with DuPont, we went down to Florida and we checked out the situation down there with the mining down there. Do we know any history of any town, county, community anywhere that's been had this dumped in their backyard basically in the last 20, 30, 40 years, and what situations they've gone through?
But at this time, we haven't made it that far. That's a piece of information we're looking at, and I've talked to quite a few citizens and sent them on fact-finding missions just for this type of information. And again, let me say this, Butch, this is going to be something that the commission can't handle alone. It's just too big. If Wayne County's ever had a cause to band together and not pick each other apart on something, I think this is one of them. It's time for everybody to work together, get information. Don't get mad because one person doesn't have it or the commissioner doesn't have all the answers. I'm a citizen like everybody, and I'm doing my best to learn. Get out there, get these facts, try to help us research it. We're enlisting the help of the community on this one.
Right, everybody needs to get involved.
Everybody needs to get involved on this thing. Get this information, reach out, check, and let's see which towns have been affected by it. Again, some of the major things that's happened that has put coal ash on a national scale is those two spills that I spoke of. One of them was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, and I think that was a Dan River. The other one happened in Tennessee, I think about 10 years ago. And that's one of the things that's put coal ash on the national headlines.
That in the John Grisham book, Gray Mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty I read that, scare you to death. Let me ask you one thing, they are a big business, but, they don't like bad publicity. You think the article today, the AJC could help or do publicity?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, and I actually was on the phone. I can't remember his last name. It was Dan. He from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He interviewed me yesterday. He's going to be coming down today and supposed to be at the meeting tonight. So we'll have a representative from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution tonight.
Okay.
We're supposed to have several state reps that they're not going to be able to make the meeting because they're tied up in Atlanta and Washington with the weather. They're going to be on the phone waiting, by the phone on a phone call. If I have an emergency,
so that's at 5:30 today, right?
It's at 5:30. Yes.
5:30 today at the county commissioner's.
At the county commissioner's office.
Okay,
yes.
they're in Walnut Street, and folks can just go in there and be there to be able to ask questions and to give input and to just listen to see what's going on with the situation. It's just, once again, I think what we're all worried about is the fact that something has just seemed to be slipped in that companies know is going to be something that the citizens of this county is going to be concerned about and want information on before they find out it's being done.
But again, that's correct. If that company hadn't tried to slide this thing in, I wouldn't be near as on guard and leery as I am. If they had jumped out there and had a public hearing and had an educational session about coal ash,
educational sessions.
I don't think any of this would have happened as much. Would we be in uproar? Yes, but we would have plenty of time to study it. We would be more comfortable with Republic. But, anybody that does something sneaky and tries to slip something in, you're just automatically, okay, you've got something that you're hiding.
Well, you can tell they've gone through this before, just like other companies,
Yes.
as we had found out last year, have gone through stuff that they don't want all that. They just want to do business and
the biggest thing, Butch, I'll say this, I don't know how much more time we have here.
We'll take what time it takes.
We want to be sure that we make a decision that's not going to negatively affect us 10 and 20 years down the road. I'm not criticizing the former commissioners. I don't want that said, but I wish back in 92 and 94 when this thing happened and the commissioners were behind it then, I wish they had the forethought to put more, attorney, give me a word here, to put more forethought in how they wrote this thing up and how they backed this landfill. I wish they had put more terms of negotiation in there for the host fee, for how we could, leverage rules and regulations on them. So that being happened in 92 and 94 with that history, we want to make sure now that we are looking 10 to 20 years in the future at the effects
Okay,
of these.
let me get some of these questions that have been texting, because we do appreciate these people listening in and taking the time to text these in. It says, where is the Solid Waste Authority on this matter? Why aren't they involved, or are they involved?
They will be at the meeting tonight to
The
address
Solid
what
Waste
they've
Authority
heard.
will be involved tonight.
And guys, taking it for them, they were just as blindsided as everybody, but they will be at the meeting tonight. We were on the phone with them yesterday. That's where we got this background on the landfill from, was from Mr. John A. Flowers. He has since resigned, but he was the longest standing member on the Solid Waste Authority. They will be at the meeting tonight, or supposed to be.
Okay. And let's see here. Where does the commission get the power to control private business if a chicken house or a hotel or anything else or coal ash or business? Basically, does the commission have the authority or any type of thing to control private business?
No, we have no authority to control private business unless there's an existing ordinance in place.
Okay. All right. And so that's on there. And of course, would zoning would have helped on any of this, because it was already zoned for a not zoned, but it was already set up as a landfill.
Bruce, that's an argument for another day, because you're looking at hindsight here.
Right.
You're looking. I don't feel on the landfill this was already there. So zoning after the fact, I don't think would have helped. Now, if Wayne County had never been zoned for a landfill, of course it would have. We wouldn't have it. But we can answer 1,000 questions in hindsight.
Okay. Got text message in here from Ralph. Hickox, okay.
Don't answer about zoning.
Okay, no, we don't get into that. This just says, folks, please click on the link. I guess with Republic.
Yeah.
All right. Please click on the link is what he's saying. There's a copy of the proposed rail yard Republic wants. The rail yard that they want. It says, note a couple of things. The landfill is already permitted to receive coal ash. Apparently that's true. Is that right?
That's correct. And I told you guys.
Yeah, it's already permitted to receive coal ash. The rail yard is going to be large enough to receive over 100 train cars or shipping containers a day.
We said that a while ago.
That's
yes,
right. The permit also includes receiving municipal garbage. We've talked about that. I learned from my dealing with the Georgia Port Authority that you don't use rail service unless you're transporting over 200 miles, due to be more cost effective as a truck. So apparently this is coming in for more than 200 miles, the coal ash. What these 100 train cars or shipping containers of coal ash and trash are, where these 100 train cars or containers of coal ash and trash are coming from long distances, like large cities up north. We've talked about that. Let's see if we're right off the major CXS line that runs through all the large cities up north. They are running out of places to dump their trash. Adds up. We must try to block this rail yard. And that's basically where Ralph Hickok is saying you got to block this rail yard if you want to block all this. As of right now, and that's what we've pretty much already discussed here, yes. Yeah. The massive increase of municipal garbage as a result of the 280-acre rail yard is also a major issue to him, and that's also to Ralph Hickok. So, and you can tell from your comments and from Commissioner Ralph Hickok's comments, y'all are at this time against it because we don't have the information to make an informed decision.
Right, that's correct.
And it says, All right. The folks on here says this situation is really scary. They've done a lot of research on this, and they're really scared about a whole bunch of coal ash coming into our community.
Yeah, there's so many unknowns here.
Okay. Well, we are getting down on time here. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else here. They're researching. The commission was sold on the idea because they were offered. Okay. This is somebody's opinion. Okay.
Read it. It's fine.
This is somebody's opinion that texted in here. It says the county commission was sold on the idea of the landfill way back in 92, 94 because they were offered preferred stock in the company.
I think that's probably a rumor. Now, I have checked. I think when Addington came in, they did do a lot of whining and dining to the commissioners that were there. Now, as far as a rumor being stock in the company, I doubt that happened.
Stock owners are public information if it's a public company.
That's right.
Unless they hide it in some sort of way.
Yeah, I'm not going to respond to rumors
because you don't know what the county commissioners did back in 92.
I don't. I wasn't around. I was in high school.
And you were concerned about that kind of stuff. You're concerned about other things, right? Girls and cars and sports.
I wasn't worried about the landfill at the time, about trash. So I do think Addington, the company back then, spent a lot of time with the commission at that time, trying to influence their decision. And I think we have at least one commissioner on the board now that was on the board then. And it might be a good idea to ask him some of these questions.
Yeah, because, as you said, you don't want to make comments on stuff that happened 20, 30 years ago when you don't know all the facts and what was going on at that time, because Goose Creek had already filled up. We didn't have anywhere to put our trash. We're having to pay money to take it out. And I guess at that time it sounded good. You just don't think about all the consequences, as you said, 20 to 30 years down the line when you're doing something that long ago.
But I'll say this, I don't think Wayne County having a landfill back then was a problem. I don't think the commissioner necessarily made a bad decision about having a landfill back then as a problem. What I think, and we can always, it's like a ball game. You can always go and be Monday morning quarterbacks. That's easy to do. But I think what the problem was not the landfill, it was the lack of enforcement rules on the landfill. I would have liked to see more enforcement rules back then as to what they could take.
Yeah,
I think that's where, if anything did go wrong, and you could turn the clock back. That's what I would have made sure has happened. You'd have had more enforcement rules for negotiating.
Well, over the last couple of years, Wayne County has really learned a lot about when it comes to situations like this, and it just continues to surprise us when things like this happen. And it's a shame that when something like this happens and a permit is issued that has something from the EPD or EPA, that the county is not notified by that from the EPD or EPA saying, somebody has applied for this in your county. This is for your information.
But let me give our state rep, Bill Workenheiser, credit for a minute. I was on the phone with him last week, and him and I talked, and he's got a lot of other state reps to convince and to look at, but he is actually supposed to be looking at introducing some legislation to make these places that issue the permits, the EPD, the Corps, whenever one's applied for, have a way to let the people in the community know within a longer time frame. Right. Him and I did talk about that, and my hat goes off to him if he tries to do something like that, because I think that's very needed.
Okay, because you should try blindsided.
If you think it's bad on the public, you should try being a commissioner in this standpoint. Since we've got elected, we've done nothing but fought issues just come up, too late. We're dealing with after the fact.
Yeah. So, because you apply for these permits and get all permissions, everybody knows when you deal with the EPA, EPD, it takes a long time. Yeah. It's not something you do within a few months.
No, this wasn't just apply.
So you've got to apply. We all see that. If you want to build a pond in your backyard, what you have to go through there. So it's taken a long time. So somebody, somewhere, a bunch of folks have known that this has been going on for a long time. And I think it'd be great if communities knew when a company was applying for something that's going to possibly affect the environment in their county.
Yes.
or in their city. And I think hopefully Bill will be able to move forward with that.
I hope so.
But the main thing tonight, folks, if you got comments, you got questions and so forth, show up tonight at 5:30 at the Wayne County Commissioner's Office on Walnut Street. Give your input, ask questions. Everyone that will be there with commissioners, and we'll have state representatives and so forth on the phone. And Congressman Buddy from Washington, is that right? Is he going to be on the phone?
Well, he'll probably have one of his staff
members.
With one of his staff members, Judge Seymour, on this issue. I think they're going to try to have somebody available. But, again, I know Commissioner Hickox is out of town. He's going to be Skyping in. And guys, he did not like missing this. He had something to plan for, 4 or 5 months of business trip, but he will be Skyped in, and he will be able to give his opinion there.
Okay, Bob, questions, any more comments on this issue this morning?
Like I said, the main thing is just be there at 5:30. We'll go from there. Like I said, hopefully Buddy Carter can set up a meeting with the U.S. Corps of Engineers. That's the next step. So,
okay. Did we stay on track there, Andy Beaver, the county commissioner's attorney? Did we stay? We okay?
I think you're all right.
Okay, we're okay.
Him work, but Bob wasn't hard on me to catch me anything. If he lied on me, he'll have brought my attorney here.
All right, Kevin, we appreciate you coming in and informing the public about this this controversial issue that's going on here in Wayne County, and we need the facts, man. We need the facts. We need to go from there.
Thank you guys for having us.
Okay.
As always, we appreciate it.
All right. 105.5 FM and Jessup, Big Dog.